right, let's look at data coming in from the auto industry for the month of May. So on the first of the month, typically a lot of OEMs put out their sales data, and this gives a broad indication of how companies have performed. Tata Motors is the one that has seen a massive jump, 185% jump in passenger vehicle sales compared to last year, while Maruti Suzuki has sold a total of 161,413 units in May. The automaker reported its highest ever monthly exports as well. Let me now go across to my colleague Shrishti, who's giving us all of those numbers.
Well, yes, definitely. The passenger vehicle and commercial vehicle sales have done really well in the month of May gone by. And the commendable point was that all of these passenger vehicle companies have actually managed the chip shortage situation quite fantastically. And not just that, they have highlighted, like company like Maruti Suzuki have said that the chip shortage situation had just a minor impact coming in on their sales data. And in the back of this thing, M&M was an outperformer. A jump of 18% is what we are seeing on the sales data on a month-on-month basis, and that actually boosted the stock as well. Coming to the commercial vehicles sales here, the outperformer was Ashok Leyland with the sales jump of 12% on a month-on-month basis, while for Eicher Motors, VECV and Tata Motors, both the companies reported in-line set of numbers. Now coming to the two-wheeler segment, herein we getting the latest sales data from Eicher Motors Royal Enfield. The company has managed to sell around 63,643 units, almost in line to our expectation, and that's a jump of 2% on a month-on-month basis. But apart from that, a big disappointment coming in from Bajaj Auto, where the export has actually seen a decline of close to 21% on a month-on-month basis. But a commendable performance in the similar environment was done by TVS Motors. Exports were almost flat on a month-on-month basis, and the overall sales data was almost in line to our expectation. And lastly, coming to the tractor segment, the rural recovery has actually been panning out quite well. Escorts as well as M&M tractor division has managed to post a sales number in line to our expectation, and not just that, they are hopeful of a good recovery in the times ahead.
All right, let me now go across to our panelists today who are talking about what exactly we've been seeing in the space. Hormazd Sorabjee, editor, Autocar India, with me on the show today. Vinkesh Gulati, Vice President, FADA, is speaking with us, as is Gaurav Vaangaal of S&P Global Mobility. Welcome to all of you, and thank you so much for speaking with us. Mr. Gulati, let me begin with your take. Are we seeing the worst behind us as far as the auto industry is concerned? At least today's numbers seem to show this.
So hi Tamanna. Seeing the last 2-3 years in auto, I feel commenting that worst is behind us is a very, very difficult statement. In between, we see good numbers and we expect now things are back to the line, and then a COVID wave come in. We again see something going good, and then this Russian conflict comes in. So very difficult to say is that the worst is behind us. But yes, we are at a better footing today. The supply chain has improved, and we are expecting that now things will go. If some external effect is not there, we'll see positive growth going ahead in further in all the categories. So the last thing what we had seen was the conflict and then China lockdown and all those things. But as of now, things are in control of the manufacturers. So if production is not hampered, we'll see a regular growth happening.
You look at the numbers. I mean, look at Tata Motors, even on EVs, massive growth, even month-on-month massive growth. And I was mentioning that considering this is coming after consecutive price hikes taken by OEMs, do you think that the demand at least is returning robustly? Is that what one of the takes could be?
So Tamanna, yes, the demand...
Hormazd, that question for Hormazd, please.
Sorry,
No problem.
Sorry, Tamanna, could you just quickly repeat that?
Yes, I was asking you for your take on the numbers that we've seen today. I mean, look at Tata Motors doing fantastically, highest ever EV sold. Can we at least safely say that the demand is back?
Well, I would agree with Vinkesh. Demand is back. Well, it's all quite relative. I mean, if you take May last year as a baseline, that's completely wrong and misleading, because we were in the thick of the third wave at that point. So really, that's not a number to go by. Sorry, we were thick of the second wave at that time. So that really isn't the kind of metric to go by. Yeah, month on month, we've done better. But what I'm seeing is that there's still a lot of pent-up demand. There's a bit of an accordion effect. The minute there is some supply, that demand is immediately mopped up. So I think, the dynamics of supply and demand are still not stable. Supply chains are still very disrupted. So we don't have clear blue skies. But of course, demand is there. That's one good underlying fact. And we are seeing that despite price hikes, sales are there. And what is also interesting is that we are seeing the center of gravity shift up. I mean, take a company like Mahindra, where they've got phenomenal demand for vehicles which are close to 20 lakhs, which would have been unheard of some time back. All that demand was in Maruti's heartland, which clearly is not there right now. So that is shifting up. I think people are willing to spend a bit more for cars, which is great for companies because it boosts bottom line, because the more expensive the cars, the bigger the margins typically. But, coming to the overall demand, I wouldn't say completely that we are out of the woods. It's still a very, choppy situation, and the supply demand dynamics are still not fully sorted.
So is it now an issue of supply chain, sort of blocks that we had seen all of this time? Like Hormazd mentioned an important fact. It was very difficult to gauge the demand because waiting periods were so high. Has some of that eased now, Gaurav? And what is your take, your key takeaway from all of the numbers that we've seen today?
See, Tamanna, if you remember from the last 6 months, we were not positive about India. But today, I think we are very positive about India. What we were expecting in the last 6 months, it does not happen, to be very honest. The way we were expecting that disruption will be, it never happened. Now, the strong numbers, what has been reported by the actuals in the quarter one, I believe that worst is far behind, and we are more optimistic now on India than our earlier estimations. What you asked for the supply chain today, I think China has removed their COVID restrictions. And then going forward, I think we are expecting now the semiconductor supply is going to improve in the further quarters. And maybe after June, you may see that there is a clear strong growth coming into the Indian market. That is what we are expecting as of now, and we have already revised our forecast. Let me be very honest. Last month, when we were looking at all the factors impacting the Indian supply chain, we were expecting a rise up here. So we revised up our forecast from the 7% to the 13% already. And today I can tell you that with these numbers, I can still feeling that I still have a feeling that there's still room to go up. And if we talk about any of the OEM, whether it is Maruti Suzuki, whether it is Tata Motors, whether it is Mahindra, whether it is Volkswagen in India, I think or whether it is Toyota also. I don't want to miss Toyota, because Toyota is something what looking for the turnaround strategy right now in Indian market. So I think we are moving out of it. Now we are moving towards the positive side, more optimistic side than our earlier estimations. But yes, all our constraints, all our assumptions remains into the place as of now. We don't see any further disruption happening to the Indian market as of now.
That's a real turnaround in at least sentiment on the industry. Mr. Gulati, what are you seeing at the ground level? Are you seeing, because for the longest time, what we were hearing was that inquiries are coming in, but they're not converting. Or that we were seeing that in certain segments, the wait period is so long that, they're not actually ending up in sales. Are you seeing some of that change? Are you sharing the optimism that Gaurav is displaying today?
Yeah, obviously, and I feel Gaurav would have thought about this, not about this 6 months back, but from the ground reality. I feel the first wave was really a problem for us dealers. But after the first the festive season of the first wave, the ground reality started changing, but the supply chain was not supportive. So if you remember from October 21, we had started seeing slowly coming up of the waiting period. We saw a lot of vehicles being launched, the niche product being launched with very, very high features, the latest advanced features. And the talk of voting period started at that time. We were talking at that time around what, 3-4 months, 6 months. Now in between we came up to 1.5 years. Now it's a bit smoothened and it's now around 3 to 1 year. So the demand was always there, but leave apart the first 6 months of the COVID, the first wave. So the demand is there, the inquiries are there. No doubt there was some time in between when we were seeing people not converting because of the uncertainties, but that is now behind us. There is a long list of customers waiting for it. There is a big order book sitting with the dealers as of today. The official order book, you can easily understand, like Maruti is saying that they have a 2-month order book. And when we talk of Mahindra, like Hormazd says, the kind of product they have launched, the 700 still demands what, more than 1 year waiting period. The Thar, which came an year back, is still demanding 6 to 8 months waiting period. So overall, the demand is there. The customers' choice of personal mobility due to the COVID and all those things have come up. They are interested to come and buy. I feel the way the supply chain has now reacted, if it improves going further, we'll see real good retail happening. But obviously, Tamanna, this is all we are talking about, the only one category, which is the car category. And as per us, as per FADA,
no, we have to.
We are very positive.
In fact, you're right, Mr. Gulati. And you know, this what I wanted to come to next. What's happening in two-wheelers? Because that's really a broader indicator of the economy and a larger base that we can assess the impact from. And we're seeing a different story there, isn't it?
Yeah, obviously, the mood of your discussion will actually change from the positive and what's happening. That's a segment where we are really distressed and the demand is bad. No doubt, as you said, the last month I've seen the numbers of Bajaj not that good because there were some supply chain issues. But if I talk about other companies also, the inventory level has skyrocketed. The one company is now going up, dealers are having around 4 to 5 months of stock there. And the demand for the entry level vehicles are not there, which clearly shows that the rural India or the lower strata of our customers are not interested to come out and invest their saving in buying a two-wheeler or a vehicle for themselves, which clearly shows the distress or the financial uncertainties they are in. So obviously, in one side, when we talk of the premium products like cars and the higher models, we are very good. But wherever we never talk about cars on the entry level, there is also the same distress. When we talk of two-wheeler, the similar two-wheeler, if you talk about the premium products, there is still a waiting period high, even be it Bajaj, be it Hero, be it TVS. But as we talk about the entry level, which is more than around 50% of the market, that is where the bigger problem is.
Yeah. You know, Hormazd, that's very telling, isn't it? And which is why I was interested in talking about the data today. So Tata Motors sells its highest number of electric vehicles. You have higher categories doing well. And you said it's great news for OEMs if people want to spend more money on their cars. But the lower ends of those bands and two-wheelers faring poorly is telling us that there is a widening sort of K-shaped kind of indicator in the economy as well as within buyers of passenger vehicles.
Yeah. So, I think clearly when we talk about demand, we talk about volumes. Let's be honest, the total TIV or total, volume of all categories, I think it's still way off the pre-pandemic highs, when we were talking about, as it is, the market was going into decline before the pandemic hit. So I think, we have to, understand that we were to be a 5 million market by 2020. A lot of people made forecasts by then, but, I think we are way off that. Obviously, pandemic has pushed everything behind. But, there's a lot of issues, a lot of speed breakers to that big growth, for us to be that number. Obviously, cost is one of the issues, let's say fuel prices issues, and that's really hurting the lower strata of consumers. And finally, I'll even say regulation. Our regulation has been so kind of, I would even say chaotic. One day 6 airbags, one day ethanol. It kind of scares people from investing in full force in India. And that's why you see companies actually exiting in India, which again leaves a vacuum, which isn't always filled by someone else. So, Ford's gone, GM is gone, others are not putting their full, might behind India. Honda's got a kind of gentle foot on the gas. because at the end of the day, the India story has also gone. It's no longer seen as that big dream market. Everyone sees it. Yes, it's there. Very difficult to make money in. And instead of throwing money over here, they need to be putting it in places or other markets where they can get a more tangible return. So I think, just being realistic, it's great while this demand is there. Tata's also hit an all-time high, but don't forget that's come at the cost of some other, OEMs which haven't done well and some which have even left.
Yeah.
So I think if you're looking at the overall auto industry, I still think, we have our challenges and we are nowhere near that 5 million mark, which everyone touted us to be.
So it's more of a rejig among the top players, maybe eating into the same pie and sort of expanding the pie. Gaurav, just on that broad picture that Hormazd has painted, your views, because you talked about a change in outlook compared to the last 6 months. But now are some of those very endemic infrastructural issues or basic issues of doing business beginning to bite?
There are issues in the market, and it's not with only India. I think if when we compare India with the other markets today, while sitting inside our company, that we see that India is responding very well. If you see that last, I think few weeks back, only government has taken a very good action about the steel prices and the imposed duties on the steel, right? So I think government is quick to act nowadays. What we are looking at, and then that is what I think gives a confidence on the market to us, that government is listening, OEMs are reacting, OEMs are amending their products to incorporate the lesser semiconductors. So these all kind of things brings more confidence on the Indian market, and that is why we are confident on the Indian market.
Absolutely. So at least it's a good start. The month of May has been decent, and we hope that trend continues. Let's see what the full-blown impact of input cost hikes and those being passed on will have on the sector. Thank you so much, Mr. Gulati, Hormazd and Gaurav, for joining us on this first debate on the show. Now, the other big story